Wanted to do a quick video with you guys on the power of repeat business and the numbers we're sort of seeing from last year with a few of our companies who are doing really well. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name any names. Got two companies that I'm going to use for you guys and go over some numbers. And both of them exceeded $60,000 a month last year. One of them was much higher than that. I don't want to go too deep into numbers, but I'm making that known because I want you guys to kind of have a basis behind some of these numbers and understanding what I'm looking to accomplish out of this video. All right. So for these two clients, if you guys have watched my content for a while, you know that I've had a few videos talking about the power of repeat business and why I think, number one, it's underrated. Number two, why I think it's not utilized correctly by most. And number three, why it's so important. All right. So not only is it underrated, but I think it's one of the key areas of business once you start to look to reach a certain amount of growth in a junk removal company. All right. And these numbers really back that idea. So those two businesses, both of them floated between about 35 to 40% and upwards to 50% of their business being repeat business. So think of the numbers I just gave you guys. All right. What they did on average per month and how much of that was repeat business and why that's going to be so important for those of you who are either around the same area looking to get there, or maybe you're struggling in the business and you're around, 5K a month, 10K a month, 15K a month, and you're looking to double that, right? So this is so useful and important because it's something that you don't really have to pay to acquire the customer again. And that's the true leverage and advantage of repeat business. The key is finding ways to get in front of them and doing it as much as possible. So a few ways to get in front of your customers you've already done business with are through text messaging. So you can set up text campaigns that go out to them routinely. You don't want to overdo that. Typically, you want it to be about quarterly and no more than that. All right. Don't set them up for monthly texts. Definitely do not set them up for weekly or biweekly texts. All right. So you have text messages. That's one. Email is another one. Now, email, you're not going to have the same response rate, but it's still powerful long term because let's say you're sending out an email once a month, or maybe once a week or biweekly, which you can send those out more commonly than text message. What you're doing is you're still getting yourself in front of that customer. All right. So whether they need your services or not, you're consistently reminding them for pretty much a very low cost, almost free, really, to continuously get in front of them, remind them that you exist so that when they do have a need for you again, they remember you. Don't just assume they're going to remember you, right? We send out thousands of messages every single day for our clients. All right. I see these messages daily, and I can't tell you guys how often I see someone respond and say that they actually have a need for the service, but they forgot the company name they did business with and their phone number. So if that is happening to some of the biggest brands in junk removal, imagine how often it's happening to some of you guys who aren't quite at that level yet, or for some of you watching who do have a bigger brand. It's happening. I promise. People forget stuff. Okay. So the more that you can get back in front of them, the more likely you're going to be able to get more business from them or get referrals from them, which are very important and a huge lifeline of junk removal business as I went into the numbers with you to give you an idea. All right. So if that's 30% or 40% or even 50% of some of their business, imagine how much business you're leaving on the table if you aren't setting up these kinds of campaigns or these things. Some other ways to get in front of people you've done business with before. Obviously, ad campaigns are still getting in front of them. It's not directly targeted. You could directly target. You could do a retargeting campaign on Facebook. You don't have to go that route. I would say if you're running ads on Facebook, most likely, even without doing a retargeting campaign, you're going to be repositioning yourself in front of some of those people. So that's another way that you could do it, which I think in return actually helps your Google Ads campaigns in the future, because if new people come in, obviously, this helps them get to know you, your brand, and then look to you for business when they do end up doing a Google search and maybe they recognize the name. All right. That's a completely different topic, but it is attached to Facebook. Outside of that, it's really simplified on how to do this. And that's why I recommend it so much. It's not something that you have to pay a whole lot of money to do. To send texts and to send emails, it's very, very, very cheap. It really just comes down to having a system that's working for you. So the main thing that most of you are missing is the system that's actually holding in those contacts, right? Or storing those contacts. So you really want to have a CRM that's doing that for you. And there's a lot of very affordable CRMs out there. Most of you know about House Call Pro, WorkKeys, Docket, Jobber, things like that. And I know they have a cost attached to them, but the cost per month for those services is going to be severely outweighed by the amount of money you'll make in repeat business over time if you have those systems in comparison to if you didn't and you lost out on that business. You could also just use a Google Sheet. If you really wanted to keep it simple, you can use Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet and track that information. Just know that it won't be as automated. It'll take you a little bit more time and you'll have to stay consistent on it. But it's really important that you guys build these things out even in the beginning, because if you're someone who's kind of new and you're watching this and you're like, well, Blake, I'll build that out once we start getting some more customers 4 or 5 months in. Well, how many people did you lose out in those 4 or 5 months that you could have kept in a CRM and then reach back out to? It really isn't hard to grow your list pretty quickly if you're growing this business. Think about the numbers this way. Once you start to get to a customer list of 500 people, 1,000 people, 1,500 people, you've got a lot of people to reach back out to drive some really good revenue, additional revenue for the business. So if you have 1,000 people and 3% of them become repeat customers, that's 30 extra jobs. All right. So it can be pretty significant and adds up pretty quick. To get to 1,000 customers really doesn't take a whole lot. Even if you were just doing 2 to 3 jobs per day on average, you're going to get to 1,000 people within a year. You do the math. If you're, 60, let's say obviously 90 per month, that puts you right there in about 10 months. If you're at 60, it's going to take you a little over a year to get to 1,000 people. So the sooner that you do this, the better, because you want to set up for the future and build your business, but also set up for the now. Even if you had 200 in there and you had a way to get in front of 200 people by tomorrow, come winter season, if you've got that set up, let's say we're getting close to spring, thank goodness. But next year in the winter, things start slowing down in November or December. Well, now if you have a client list of 300, 400, 500, 1,000 people, now you have a source to get business in without advertising. Right? You could reach back out to those people next year in the winter with a special offer or whatever you want to do. So don't just think of the short term, guys. Think of the long term. And I'm telling you now, use these big businesses as examples. All of them are storing their customers in a customer database and finding ways to get back in front of them. You guys should be setting up to do the same thing yourselves, even if your list isn't as large as theirs, because it's still very effective for your business and could be a large chunk of it. All right. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, on whether you're trying to find a CRM, or perhaps you just don't really know. You're not very tech savvy. You don't know how to go about this. Feel free to leave a question in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. Hope this helps some of you guys. Hope you recognize the impact and how much money is being left on the table for those of you who aren't doing this. And hopefully you build a system to get it done. So hope this helps you guys. Thanks for watching.